So hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I decided to do a 12 days of Bookmas on my channel, which is going to entail 12 book themed videos. I originally thought about doing Vlogmas. I just don't think I'm going to be able to do it, and I just know December is such a busy month for me. So as much as I would have loved to vlog every day, I don't think realistically I could have done it, and I also don't really feel like putting that pressure on me, especially around the holidays. Like, I love the holidays. December is one of my favorite months, so why would I want to stress myself out? So anyways, I thought instead I would do a 12 days of Bookmas where I'm going to do 12 book themed videos. I haven't decided on a schedule for them, so I'll just be a nice little surprise, and then you'll just see me pop in every so often this month. But I'm really excited. And I guess I'm just gonna count yesterday's video as day one because it was a reading vlog and it was a book themed video, and I posted it for the 1st of December. So this is day 2. I thought the perfect video for day 2 would be a November wrap up. Honestly, time just goes by so fast, and I can't believe we're even here at the time to film November wrap up. This is gonna be kind of an interesting wrap up because I read 4 books in November, and 3 of those books happened to be Charlie Leah books. And then the other one was Merry Christmas, You Filthy Animal, which I reviewed in my last video, so I won't be talking about it much in this video. If you want to go see my review for that, make sure to go check out the other video. Yeah, so I guess we're just going to be talking about Charlie Leah a lot in this video. So the first book I have is Some Choose Darkness. My friend Laura gave me this book during our book exchange. She's also a big reader, and she lives out of town, so every time she's in town we want to do a book exchange, but we always seem to not be able to plan it. So Laura and I used to work at the same company, so I know when she comes into town it's usually for a big event, but we made it happen this time. The funny thing is we literally did this book exchange in the middle of the biggest event of the year for the company, which is funny, but we made it happen, and she gave me Some Choose Darkness. I just remembered I did a review for this book already, so maybe I'll just add a couple of clips from that video in here because I filmed it for TikTok and Instagram and then realized I never posted it on YouTube. The first thing I want to say is that I rated this a 5 out of 5 stars. I am not kidding you when I say that by the 4th page of this book, I was already hooked. I feel like it's not rare, but it's really hard for me to get hooked within the first 10 pages of a book. When that happens, it's the best thing ever. The same thing happened with The Wedding People, which I'm currently reading right now. There's a couple ways I can describe his books. One, his kind of book really gives crime show, but like Law and Order crime show. Not Netflix thrillers, but like old-fashioned crime shows, if that makes sense. I feel like the way he writes is so smooth. I feel like you really feel like you are in the story. You are a detective on the team trying to solve the mystery. And what I appreciate so much about this author is that once you finish the book, you could see how the person at the end who's revealed to be, you know, the person that we're trying to discover, you can see throughout the whole story how it makes sense, which I appreciate so much, because one of my biggest issues with, especially in crime shows and thrillers, is that a lot of times they'll throw these kind of 180 twists where it really doesn't make sense, and there wasn't enough evidence in the show for you to ever be able to figure out who the person was. And I understand that sometimes with shows, because I think the way that shows work, a lot of times they probably don't know who the final person is going to be, because with shows, I'm sure they sign on for a contract of, let's say, 2 seasons, but then they get renewed for 2 more seasons, so they have to keep building the story out. I think a lot of times it gets a little lost when it comes to shows, but I think books are a bit better when it comes to developing these stories, and Charlie Leah does a really good job at introducing all the important characters and then you going along on the journey and figuring out who did it, and you really feel like you're part of the story. But overall, I really loved the story. I think he does a really good job at developing very unique characters. There was a couple characters in this book that I felt so unique that I haven't seen in other books, which was really refreshing. I feel like the pacing of Some Choose Darkness was incredible. I wasn't able to predict the final twists, and it was just overall, I think, a perfectly structured crime story slash thriller and I am going to be recommending it to everybody. So the second Charlie Donlea book I read was The Suicide House. Some Choose Darkness and The Suicide House are part of a series. So I know the rest of his books are standalones, but I heard that he likes throwing in characters from other books, or he likes putting in settings from other books. So I have been now reading his books in order of publishing, so I can always pick up on characters that are from other stories. I know that the mention of other characters from books don't affect the plot at all. Like, you don't need to read the other books first. I just thought it'd be more fun for me to read them in order of publishing because I love little kind of Easter eggs like that. That is what I'm doing. But anyway, so I read Suicide House next, which is the second book to the series. And I also really love this book. It was such a unique story. I had never read anything like it before. Like Some Choose Darkness, did not predict the final twist in this book. It was eerie, it was creepy. It was set at a, I guess, like elite boarding school, which I realized that setting was so fun to read. I would love to read. Is that what dark academia is? Because if that is, I would love to read more of those. Some of my favorite stories are anything that's in a very luxurious setting. So a luxurious hotel, a, you know, ooky spooky mansion, a boarding school, a cruise ship, anything that's kind of extravagant like that, I find is so fun to read. I'm like that when it comes to movies too and shows, like anything that's just kind of luxurious. Maybe it's because I'm just, you know, regular Kendra, that just reading about the like glitz and glams is just so fun to like put yourself in. Anyway, Suicide House is set at a boarding school. Forgot to mention in the Some Choose Darkness, there's two timelines, one from the past and one from the present, and same with Suicide House. The Suicide House is a little harder to explain because there was a lot of layers to that story, but basically it was about a group of teens and there was a secret society, and there's only a select few people every year that get chosen for it. Basically, the people that get chosen kind of have to go through a round of hazing where they have to do a bunch of things, and then on the final kind of night, they're asked to play this game. But the night that they were playing this final game, which basically, from what I recall, sorry, there's so many details of the book, but you had to go find some keys, and then you had to go to the abandoned house in the forest, and then they play this game where they look in a mirror, and I forgot what they say into the mirror, but basically they say this thing in the mirror. But on that night that the game happens, two of the people end up murdered. And then it's weird because ever since those people got murdered, everyone that was involved that night, so the other, I think 4 students that were chosen to be in the secret society, started going back to the house, and they all were dying in the same way. So if I had to choose between the two, I do think Some Choose Darkness was a better structured thriller. I think Suicide House was a bit more chaotic. There was a lot more moving pieces in the story, and I didn't love the characters as much. If you like kind of weird mixed in with boarding school vibes, this is probably the perfect story for you, because weird is the best way I can describe it right now without giving away too much. Okay, so popping on here because clearly I was having a hard time describing this book, but the best way I could describe this book was a sprinkle of Pretty Little Liars mixed in with the aesthetic of Wednesday, the Netflix show. And it was a pretty dark thriller. You could guess by the title, obviously, that there's suicide involved. But I really liked the two timelines. And the story itself was just something I had never really seen before, is the best way I could describe it. But definitely worth the read. I feel like it's just one of those books that you need to read it to understand it, because it's one of those ones where if you kind of explain the whole book, you're just kind of giving away a lot of the plot. So I swear over time I'll get better at reviewing these books. The thing is, I love to review books, but I have a clip about this coming up, I believe, in the video. I personally don't watch reviews of spoilers because if I know how a book's gonna end, I'll never want to read it. However, I also love talking to people about books, so I'm thinking of maybe doing some book reviews where I preface at the beginning of the video that this whole video will have complete spoilers, so then I can connect with people that have already read the book. So it's almost like a book club. Maybe I'll do a mix of both, because I definitely struggle more with trying to explain books in a broad sense without giving away any clues, because I get so excited to talk about the clues and the plot. So yeah, let me know. Okay, back to this video. One more book. Nope, 2 more books to review. So Summit Lake, I absolutely loved. If I didn't give it a 5 stars, I'm going to change it now. I was thinking I might have given it a 4, but I feel like I actually would change it to a 5. Basically, it's about a reporter who is tasked to go write a story about this murder that happened in a small kind of mountain town. So when you're introduced to this reporter, you find out that she is just coming back from a leave. You don't know why, but her boss basically is like, I want you to go work on this story and we're going to pay for you to live in this mountain town, but we want you to write this story. As a way to distract her, I believe, from whatever happened to her. We don't know. Again, when you start the book, you don't really know what has happened to her. So the story that she's covering is about this law student who got murdered in this mountain town, and nothing ever bad happens in this town, so it was obviously a big shock. So we get 2 timelines in this book. One is Kelsey's perspective when she's trying to solve the case, and then you get I think it starts out from a 1.5 years out from when this girl got murdered. And again, Charlie Donlea, he has a perfect formula when it comes to writing these stories, and also a perfect formula to the pacing of the stories. I never feel like his stories drag out, and all the things he mentions are critical points that helps you bring you to the big discovery at the end. And just like the first 2 books, I wasn't able to predict the big twists. This book left me very heartbroken. Trigger warnings for all 3 of these books. Summit Lake, I just loved the settings. Again, it was from Becca's perspective. It was her time at school, so very academia. You got to meet her romantic interests, her friends, and learn a lot about Becca. Kelsey's storyline I love, because you got to learn more about the town that this happened in, and you met characters that helped piece together the mystery of why this girl got murdered. And then the way the storylines connected, I really liked. I really loved all the characters in this book. Again, Charlie Donlea, I feel like each book that I've read, all the characters have been so unique to those books that I appreciate so much. And I, again, overall just thought it was a really well-constructed thriller. I was at the edge of my seat for a lot of points. I, felt very emotional. There was a lot of sad moments in it. And then I read Merry Christmas, You Filthy Animal by Megan Quinn. It was my first Megan Quinn book. I'm not going to go into too much details because I just did a whole review about it in my last video. But overall, I gave it a 3 out of 5. And I prefaced this in my last video that it has nothing to do with Megan Quinn herself or the writing. I just realized after reading this book that this genre of kind of cheesy Hallmark romances isn't my favorite to read. So it has nothing to do with the author herself. And I think if you're going for that cute, cozy, and cheesy holiday romance with a little bit of spice, then you'll love a book like this. It really gave the ultimate Christmas vibe. I just realized that I don't think this genre is for me personally. I also realized in this book, I do not like a 3rd act conflict. So anyways, I hope you liked this video. I hope my reviews made sense. Sometimes I just have so many thoughts after a book, or I don't know, for me, there's certain things in books that stick out to me, but I don't want to necessarily say those points because it gives away some of the story. So I tried to explain it in more of a broad sense. Let me know if you guys want more like in-depth reviews, and I'll start planning those, and maybe I'll just put a spoiler warning instead. I just don't know if that's what people want to see, and I'm kind of happy doing both, because for me, when it comes to reviews, I don't like the plot spoiled. Let me know what kind of reviews you all like, because if that is what you like, then I'm going to start planning my reviews more in depth. But I am just doing it more general because I don't want to spoil anything, if that makes sense. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. I don't know what my next book theme video is going to be. I know I am doing a really fun book theme day with one of my friends coming up next week, which will definitely be a vlog. I definitely want to do another reading vlog at some point. I'm excited just to film more book content. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I am pretty new to the booktube world. I have been following book creators on like Instagram and TikTok, but I have just started watching a lot of booktube videos, and I'm here to support any smaller creators. So yeah, and I will see you all soon. Bye.